show you an illustration that I use a lot when I teach, and it seems that many people really resonate and understand the significance of this illustration. So what I want to do is take you through a lesson in human growth and development. Because without understanding what our basic needs are as human beings across the lifespan, sometimes it's difficult to understand the depth of often our confusions and brokenness and wounds and disappointments. So we're going to build a life, and we will start with the blueprint that we are given. And this blueprint, more or less, design comes from, I believe, comes from God. And it is in the form often of our unique genetics, our unique biology, our unique body size, body shape, our unique temperament, our unique collection of gifts and strengths. So we never can ignore the biological side of life. So this represents our basic uniqueness and specialness. So we start by laying that as a foundation. So again, for many women with same-sex attraction, I have discovered that I do think that they have often a unique set of giftings. For instance, really high intelligence and sensitivity and reflectivity, a passion for injustice, an eye for injustice. And they come with many different temperaments, certainly many different personality types. But let's start with the first stage of life. The question is, what are the pieces that are needed for a little baby to survive, for a little baby to begin their developmental process in a healthy and whole way? So little babies need safety. If they're not safe, if they are threatened physically, obviously a little baby can't protect themselves or defend themselves. So they must have someone else who comes and protects them. A little baby needs food and sustenance. A little baby needs warmth. Little babies absolutely need a sense of connection. And I believe attunement. They need to be able to look into an adult's face and see joy and see delight. They need eye contact. Eye contact is very important for bonding and for attachment to form. And it's been researched that little babies need physical touch. Babies who are not touched or babies who are not attended to often develop what we call a failure to thrive. And babies can actually die for simply a lack of human connection and human touch. So another part of baby's need is that when baby cries and says, "I am hungry," or "I need a new diaper," that the caregivers respond consistently and quickly. So baby has a need, and they discover that someone is there, someone is big who loves me, who comes and takes care of my need. And then they have another need, and then this big person comes again and takes care of their need. So that the baby is beginning to establish this sense of trust in the world. Really, it's very big. It's not just a trust in this one big person, but it's that the world is good. It's okay to have needs. It's okay to have needs because somebody is here to meet my needs. Needs aren't wrong. Needs are bad. It's okay to have needs. And so the baby begins to trust. The baby begins to experience this warm sense of connection and attachment with mother, with father, and first of all, it's with mother for both a little girl and little boy. And what this allows the baby to do is just relax into this sense of well-being. That everything is good. The world is okay, the world can meet my needs, and I am okay. So anything that I missed, a sense of security, just a deep sense of security. So let's assume baby is getting all of their needs met in these wonderful ways, and the baby grows and develops and turns into a toddler, turns into a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old. And so we have to ask, what does a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old need to continue to survive in healthy ways? And the first thing that comes to my mind is when I see a 2-year-old who's exploring their world. They're beginning to go out and explore their world. Is now they need parents who can step in and say, wait, watch out, that might be dangerous. And so boundaries are very important for a little child who's moving into their world. They still need to have some safety, right? We don't want kids just running into the street and getting hit by cars. We let the child know there's boundaries. But within these boundaries, it's safe. It's safe for you to explore and to learn about your world. A thing that becomes very important as a child starts learning about their own skills and competencies is that they need encouragement and support from their parents to say, good job, you're very good at this. So that affirmation is helping a child understand who they are. So understanding, I am good at this, and I like doing this. I'm very good at climbing trees, and I like climbing trees. So we begin to help a child gain that sense of competence and okayness, again, knowing uniquely who they are. So affirmation, encouragement is very important. Another thing that becomes important the older a child gets are little friends. At first, when a little 3-year-old, 2 little 3-year-olds are playing, it really doesn't matter if one is a boy or one is a girl. They just know they're with another little person and they're having fun. But as a child grows and develops, then they begin to have the ability to distinguish between who is a little boy and who is a little girl. And the older they get, this begins to make a difference. Again, 4 years old, 5 years old, little girls, little boys play together. But as the child grows, a little boy may look at a little girl and go, ooh. And you know, you'll see on the playground at around 9 or 10 years old, all the little boys gather together and they're looking at the little girls and they may throw rocks or, you know, who are they? While the little girls are gathered in a circle and they're laughing and giggling because they're talking about the boys. But you'll see this natural phase where it's so important for the little boys to be together with the other little boys and the little girls to be together with the other little girls. And this is why when a child has gender nonconformity and doesn't believe that they fit in with their same gender group, that they miss out very important socialization that's happening. So same-sex friends is very important developmentally. As a child, again, continues to grow, an opportunity to discover life through play and through opportunities of learning are very, very important because this child is just moving through a discovery, an ongoing discovery of who they are and what their purpose is in life. So let's assume this child has very healthy environment, very healthy friendships that are beginning to form and continues to grow and develop, and at this point hits adolescence. So what is important for an adolescent to continue to grow and develop healthily? This is the time of development that it is theorized that an adolescent is to begin to consolidate or solidify a sense of personal identity that would say, this is who I am uniquely. To come into a solid sense of identity, obviously the child still needs to learn more about themselves. And in adolescence, their same-sex peer group continues to be very, very important. So as I'm building friends with my girlfriends, we are discovering together what it means to be female, what it means to be woman, what it means to enter into mature identities as a wonderfully unique female. So these same-sex friendships are absolutely essential. And when a young woman starts to feel confident and secure in who she is as female, she now, in many ways, her same-sex needs have been met. She is now forming her own personal unique identity, and therefore has the confidence and the positive self-esteem to be able to explore a relationship with a male, with a boy, because they act a little different than the girls. They are different, and it can be threatening for a child who has not established a strong sense of who they are, especially in terms of their gender, to begin to relate with the opposite gender can be extremely scary, especially for girls. It's very scary, and they may fear that they could be abused by boys because they haven't established their personal power yet. So same-sex peer group is important. The other important piece for adolescents is a sense of belonging, that I belong. I've got my group of friends who are like me in some ways, and I belong on this earth. I belong in this world. I have a place of belonging. Now, this time of life is usually focused on friendships, but that does not mean that mom and dad aren't important. Mom and dad are still very, very important in this child's life. And mom and dad are continuing to pour in blessings and affirmation and encouragement and helping their child begin to see who they are and how special they are. But the child is not so focused any longer on the parents, right? The child is reaching out for friendships. That becomes primary. So friendships are deepening, and as a young girl who loves herself and values herself, begins to explore relationships with men, she is now still on a discovery. Because as she relates with a male or a guy, she is learning still uniqueness and distinction in terms of, he thinks a little bit differently, or he may behave a little bit differently. And that is actually helping her understand more about herself as a female. And we hope that the environment that this girl is growing up in values femininity, values women, values the unique pieces that we bring. And this is an ongoing problem with many women, is that we often grow up in environments that don't value women. We value the masculine, we value what men bring to the table, but we haven't taken the time to think through what is it that women bring, the strengths, the specialness that women bring to the table that is absolutely essential for the human race. This is incredibly powerful for young women growing up, to know that what they bring is uniquely valuable and special, that they don't have to be like a boy to feel significant or important. So these are potential conflicts that can arise, especially during adolescence for girls. But let's assume this girl has solid friendships with her female friends, and is beginning to build healthy platonic relationships with boys, not sexual. This girl doesn't need sex in her life at this age. She is needing healthy, caring friendships with boys. She's continuing to learn about herself. So as she continues to grow and mature and moves into adulthood, she's an adult woman now, and Often we think, well, now that we're adults, we've arrived, and we don't really have needs anymore. We don't think about what is needed for us to continue to grow and develop healthily. And I'm sure there's many more that we could list here, but there are two categories that, I think are incredibly important for us as adults to continue to grow and develop, which is a sense of purpose and meaning and value and worth. People who lack a sense of purpose or believe that they are worthless and without value struggle deeply in living. Their lives are not fulfilled, they're not satisfied. So this is so important, but look at what it's tied to. To have a purpose, to have a sense of purpose and meaning means that we have a strong sense of identity, that we have a strong sense of self, and that we are walking in self-acceptance and self-love. And when those things are missing, we will be more lost than directed in life. There will be deep experience of lostness, of emptiness, because I am without meaning, I am without purpose or value. And then I also believe as adults, we have this ongoing need for connectedness, ongoing need to have other people speak and pour into our lives, while we speak and pour into other people's lives. So this sense of mutuality in our relationships, that I matter and you matter and we need each other. We are made to be in relationship. We are made to be in community. And so regardless of whether a relationship forms into a romantic bond and there is a covenant made between a male and female or not, we are made for closeness. We are made for connection. And it's absolutely essential for single or married to continue to have very healthy, deep relationships. So, when a man and woman decide that they really now, in a way, want to bring their lives together, they feel that their purpose and meaning are very tied to each other, and they want to serve God and they want to live their lives now in this very committed, faithful partnership. That is when we now have a secure enough platform to handle the power of sexuality. That it is within a committed relationship filled with trust. It is between two people who have established themselves. They know who they are. They know what their purpose and meaning is at some level. That they can handle the power of sexuality, the power of total vulnerability, total nakedness, total exposure to another. They have laid the foundation of building their personhood. So this is when sexuality is invited into our lives as a gift. It is a gift, it is a sacred gift, and it is a beautiful thing. So this is the ideal life. Very few of us live this ideal. Most of us have had bumps along the way, to say the least, and we have been very disappointed with our lives. Many of us have not had needs met. We've not had the faithfulness of a loving parent. We have had loss, we have had separation, we have had death. We have had all sorts of things that happen. So let's think for a minute, what about a little girl who is born into a family where already there are 5 children? And father happens to travel for his work. So father is gone a lot because he has a job that takes him away for days at a time, which means mother is handling all of the household affairs and raising the children often by herself. She's alone. She's doing the best she can. She's doing the best she can, but she is very tired. She is very tired and may actually feel a bit depressed. Needs more help, needs more support, but the husband needs to make the money to provide for the family, and so they're just kind of stuck in this. But this little girl comes along as the 6th child, and mother is so consumed with keeping all of the children alive and well that she doesn't have a lot of time to sit with her daughter. She doesn't have a lot of time to just rock her daughter, to hold her daughter, to look into her daughter's eyes. And this little girl is so wanting her mommy. She's so needing to just be touched by her mommy, to be held by her mom. And sometimes she just creates a problem because she wants her mom's attention. And so she'll do whatever she can to get her mother's attention or to get her mother's touch. But it doesn't last for very long, and then mother is off again, trying to take care of the family. And the little girl is feeling like she's dying inside. She's feeling like she's starving, and she so needs just simply the touch, the attention, the attunement of her mother. And this may start at a very, very young age. And so this part of nurturing is missing for her. It begins to create a gnawing on the inside, a deep longing on the inside. So what if a girl grows up in a neighborhood where there are no other little girls her age? All there are little boys. And her playmates become little boys simply because that's who's available. And she also happens to be gender nonconforming, so she fits in with the boys pretty good. She can run as fast as they can. But she really wants a best friend who's a girl. She really so wants a good girlfriend. But there's no one in the neighborhood, and when she gets to school, there's only a few girls even at school, and they already are friends because they live close to each other. And she can't find a way to break in, to build a friendship with a girl. So she's growing up with this fantasy and longing of having this best girlfriend, their bestest friends. And it becomes a very painful place. So we start having to ask, what if some of these pieces are missing? And life is not perfect, right? We just don't live in a perfect world, and what if some of these pieces are missing? And so this is what life can begin to look like. This is life. This is much closer to what many of us live with. And there's confusion. There are holes inside. There's emptiness inside. And we don't understand. We don't understand why we feel this emptiness, why we don't feel complete, we don't feel whole. We look in the mirror and we see ugliness. We see something that doesn't look right. We don't know why we are this way. And for many young people, the longings, the deep holes, or the missing pieces are surrounding their relationship with the same-sex parent or with same-sex friendships. They're longing, they still need something from the same sex, something about, for girls, something about femininity. And so, like I've said already many times, when puberty hits, it's not uncommon for these feelings to take on even a deeper dimension, where there's a sexual attraction that's merged in with these very normal longings to want the very thing that we were designed for. And so a young person can begin to experience same-sex attraction. And often we will, I know years ago, this is what many people tried to say. They would say, well, you know what, young woman, you have same-sex attraction, but maybe you should just find some good men. You should find some good guys and just, try to build relationships. with those men and see if you can't begin to enjoy the company of men. So this is what we're essentially asking, is way up here in adolescence, right, is when a woman begins to build healthy relationships with men that become significant for her. We're asking her to operate at this level, and there's no foundation. She tries, and she says, it's not working. There's still something empty in me. A relationship with a man is not meeting my needs. And she says, I need to be close to women. And that's exactly what she needs. That is exactly what she needs. And this is what makes working with same-sex attraction very different. Very different than a lot of other issues in people's life. We don't want to eradicate or somehow stop their same-sex attraction. Because it's the longings within this same-sex attraction, the needs within, the need to be close to the same sex, the longings to know oneself as a feminine being, these are good. We don't want to take that away from a person. These are exactly what God has intended for them. So what we want to do is help this young woman to understand what are the deepest needs. Because did any of you notice where that top block went, which is where sexuality can come into blossom in our adult lives after we've done all of the work of building ourselves? I think it's down there somewhere. What happens is that we think sex. We think sexual touch, sexual closeness. Somehow, oh, it feels good. I mean, it's at least touch, right? And we're longing for touch. But we believe that that can answer our deepest need. But that's not the type of love that's needed. The type of love that's needed on this basic level is parental love. It really is the love of a mother figure or a father figure. That's what the type of block that's needed down here. The type of block that's needed in here is friendship love. Just sweet friendship. The type of love that might be needed here as you explore the opposite sex is a romantic love. Not sexual, but it can still be very romantic and we're concerned about ourselves. But in our very sexualized cultures and world, we're told that sexual love is the best kind of love. And that you should have, you're free to have sex with whoever you want and there's no consequences. There's nothing bad that will happen. Young kids are being told this, you know, through our pop culture and media. And yet, this is not the kind of love. This is not the kind of love that is deeply needed. So our job, if we're walking with somebody who really wants to explore, what is their deepest need? What are the longings behind their same-sex attraction? This is where we're going to go with them. We're going to go very, very deep into places that feel very empty to them, that feel very dark and confused because they have brought sex possibly down into the place where a little baby is residing. Very, very inappropriate. It could be very abusive. So there's a lot of pain. There's a lot of pain, there's a lot of shame, there's a lot of guilt. And yet, for a woman to really fully understand herself and begin to heal and fill out her personhood, we've got to go in to the holes. We've got to go in to the darkness and pain. And in fact, this is true for anybody in therapy, anybody in counseling who wants to look at the wounds of their past, the traumas, the disappointments. Means we have to look at the disappointment. We have to look at the emptiness. We have to go there. So this is very similar in working with women who want to understand their same-sex attraction. So let me add one more thing. What if there is sexual abuse or trauma? What if a girl does grow up in a home where there is open neglect and abandonment, where maybe dad wasn't quite so kind towards his little girl, or where mother really was not just too busy, but mother didn't want to even have children at all, and who was very rejecting. And what if this little girl is innocently violated by an older brother, worst, by her own father, where as a little girl, sexuality exploded in her life, because a little child is never ready for a sexual connection, and it explodes, literally shatters a child's life. And the child is left feeling completely shattered and having to deal with the chaos and the wreckage on their own. And the research on sexual abuse has told us that this can shatter a person's sense of trust for the rest of their life. If some kind of work is not done to repair that trust, this is a person who will not be able to trust in relationships. And when there's not trust, then there can never be deep connectedness or intimacy. And so again, a person begins to starve for relationship. And this can happen, the effects of sexual abuse are the same in women who later struggle with same-sex attraction or women who do not. We know that sexual abuse does not by itself cause homosexuality. If it did, then every woman who has ever been sexually abused would be struggling with same-sex attraction, and that's not the case. But we do know that the research in terms of frequency of reporting childhood sexual abuse, we have found that women with same-sex attraction report childhood sexual abuse twice as often as women without same-sex attraction. It's significantly more in women with same-sex attraction. So that tells us it's probably a piece, right, for some of the women. It is an influence, but it's not. I've worked with many women who do not have sexual abuse in their background. But because it is so frequent, it's worth talking about, because this can be so shattering for a woman's life. So a sense of powerlessness, a deep sense of shame and guilt that can actually become her identity. There is no longer an identity of a little girl, it is an identity of a monster, of darkness, of ugliness. This sexual abuse can cause many young girls to reject their body. In other words, they no longer want to have a female body, and they will begin to try to cover it with different types of clothing that are not feminine. They don't want to look like a girl, because they believe that because they are a girl is why they got abused. And so this is another reason why women or girls may cut their hair, begin to look like a boy, begin to disidentify as a female, because to be female means you are going to be abused. There will be pain, there will be violation. And so I need to move away from that and move into the world of boy and begin to identify more in a masculine way. And so this, of course, begins to look like gender nonconformity, and they may, in fact, have some gender nonconforming interests. But many women with this severe hatred of their femininity often have a history of sexual abuse. It's something that, as counselors and helpers, we need to at least be sensitive to. But again, you never rush into working on abuse issues with a new client. First, we have to establish this sense of trust and sense of safety so that the woman can feel ready and able to talk about these very difficult issues in her life. There's been times when I've worked with women for up to 3 years before they ever started talking about their childhood sexual abuse. It just takes a lot of time to work through these kind of issues. And of course, like I said earlier, we are never just victims of our experiences or of our deficits, of our neglect. We are always trying to find ways to survive. So one way that little girls find to survive maybe the disappointment of wanting to be close to dad or wanting to be close to mom, but it just doesn't seem to quite be the way that she wants it or needs, is that she begins to say, I don't need you. And this is something that you hear often in adult women. They'll say, I don't need a man. Why would I need a man? I don't need a man. So we begin to defend against certain types of relationship. But yet we need relationship. We need connectedness with both genders. And so one way or another, that need is going to poke its head up somehow, somewhere. But it's not uncommon that we defend against relationships, and we say inside of ourselves, I don't need my mom. She's too busy for me anyway. I don't need her. And we actually start believing this as little girls. We'll start believing that. And then we live in a way that makes sure that I have no need. I have no need for her, at least. But what starts to happen is then we start defending against those inner longings. And I don't even want you. I don't need you, and I don't want you. I never wanted to be close to you. So we begin to start denying just really aspects of our humanity. And if we have been violated as little girls, then it's not safe to be a little girl. And so I can say, I don't want to be girl. And I may even take it one step further to say, I would rather be a boy. I've worked with many, many women who have wanted to be a boy. I wanted to be a boy at one point because it looked to me like boys had more fun than little girls. And so it'd be better to be a boy. This is not transgenderism. This is not transsexuality. This is a little girl. She's a little girl, but she's feeling stuck as a little girl, and she would rather have something different. This is very different than when you hear a child at 3 years old who says, Mommy, I'm not a little girl. I am a little boy. That is closer to what we would call gender identity disorder or transsexuality, at least diagnostically. So I want to make sure that we're not talking about that with women with same-sex attraction usually. It's just a gender identity confusion or a gender dislike, we can say. So I'd rather be a boy, but I know I'm a girl. I know I am a girl. Okay, I'm not going to go through these slides on our current state of events in terms of our sexualized, very promiscuous culture. You all can read those later, but why I included them is because now, in this day and age, we are dealing with an entirely new influence on children who are growing up feeling like this on the inside, and now the world is telling them, oh, you have same-sex attraction, you're homosexual. That's who you are. Accept it. Just accept it. With no acknowledgement of these deeper dynamics that may be happening in a person's life. Or, oh, you are longing for touch? Well, you can have touch. You know, you can have sex at a very young age. It's important to explore. And so we have this voice now speaking to our children solutions. They think they have solutions for some of these deep needs and deep wounds in our life. And of course, the kids are innocent. As kids, we're grabbing for whatever feels good in the moment, and are really entering into patterns and lifestyles and relationships that in the end may leave us very damaged and very, very, very confused down the road. And so I'm waiting for about the next 10 years to watch to see again what the kids who are now going to be adults, what they bring into the counseling office, what they bring into therapy. I think we're going to see a whole new set of confusion and woundedness that we may not even be working with quite yet. So we shall see. So another thing that I have noticed with a lot of my clients, I've already mentioned that often a woman with same-sex attraction will have a sense of ambivalence towards men. You know, I can have them or leave them, not important, not important. Or a deep fear of men, because she has had experiences that have been very negative, or even a deep hatred of men, believing that she has been very violated by men. I believe that even if a woman decides she is lesbian and she wants to be lesbian, I believe that if she still hates men or has a deep fear of men, or even a sense that men are irrelevant, that she is not living in wholeness. Because if, and I hear what I'm doing here, if I were to be gay, pro-gay, and argue that it's perfectly okay to be gay, you were born gay, it's important that you just live the way that you are. So if homosexuality were just a normal development or a normal trajectory of human sexuality, then why would a woman hate men? She wouldn't, there's no reason why she would be hating men or fearing men. It would just be simply, I am sexually drawn to women, period. I am homosexual, I was born this way. It makes no sense that such a high incidence of women who have same-sex attraction also have these very negative reactions toward men. Not all of them do, not all of them, but a very high percentage do. It makes no sense. So the fact that, again, they have a higher percentage of sexual abuse and often a higher percentage of hatred or fear of men speaks to something, right? It speaks to something that may have been influential in terms of the development of same-sex attraction. So I, working with any woman, would always want to invite her to explore her attitudes towards men, even if she does not have a desire to ever marry a man or be with a man. Many of my clients they know they just want to be single, but they want to live a full life. But this is still an area that if she is open to explore, I know it's very important for her to explore. But here's the piece that I really wanted to mention, is that I have found that many of my clients, especially younger clients, are coming out of families that are very, very conservative. They tend to be very, very rigid in their child rearing. And I want to show you the parenting style that I'm beginning to see often, and I don't know if it's broad-based, and this is what a lot of parenting is, or if it's just with my clients. I'm not sure. But a parenting style that is very, overprotective is the word I want. Overprotective, because their parents are genuinely trying to protect their children from the evils of the world. So let me show you what I mean. But I need somebody to come up and help me with this. So, she is my daughter, and I love my daughter. And I really want to protect my daughter. She is so important to me. She is a treasure. And I am religious, And so I believe in evil. And I know that the world out there can be a very bad place. And it can be a very dangerous place. And I think that my job is to make sure that my daughter is safe and protected, and that she does not do evil things. I want to make sure that she is raised as a good Christian daughter. So I don't want her getting into trouble. I don't want her doing bad things. So I make sure of all of her friends, I make sure they are good friends and that they come from a good family. And so I check into all of her friends. And when she goes to her friends' houses, I call the parents to make sure that everything is okay. I call her on the phone a lot to make sure she is okay, and I am very busy because I also want to make sure she eats really good food and she has pretty clothes, and so I'm busy cooking, and I want her to have a clean house, and so I'm busy cleaning my house, and I am taking care of my daughter. She is important to me. So how are you feeling, daughter?
Overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed. So I just did this with a woman in Germany and did the same thing, and I asked her, how are you feeling? And she said, I'm in jail. I'm in prison. I'm overwhelmed. So stay here for a minute. Stay here. I'm not done. So in comes this young lady into my counseling office, and she says, Janelle, I can't even move without my mother checking in on me. I am suffocating. I am overwhelmed. And I want to have a life, and I have got this girlfriend, and I love this girlfriend, and she loves me, and I want to talk to her on the phone, and I want to spend time with her. But my parents have not, they don't allow me to call her. They say I cannot see her. I am stuck at home all the time. I don't get to do things after school, and so the child is distraught, to say the least, right? But here's the rub. These young girls are so developmentally behind. It's almost as if mother and father have done everything for them. They've done everything. They've cooked their food, they've bought their clothing, and in fact they had to pick out the clothing. They've bought their clothing, they have done everything they can to make sure that their daughter is well and safe, and they've made the choices for their daughter. The problem is, the daughter has never had the freedom to make her choices and to learn by her mistakes, learn by failing, learn by doing something wrong and discovering what guilt is, and discovering what shame is, and that you've got to face that in life. And many of these children are so developmentally delayed. They have no sense of self or autonomy. They have no sense of separation from their parents. And so this little girl now is 17, and she has this new little girlfriend, and they want to kiss each other. And they dream that they're going to run away and have a house, and they're going to have a house, and they're going to do a home together. And it feels to me as if it's like two little girls who play house, and they're setting up all their dolls and playing house. It almost feels like these 17-year-old girls are still needing to play house. They're still needing to learn how to live and grow up and develop. And so now we're working with this. Same-sex attraction is no longer the main issue in therapy, but these deeper developmental needs. So when we have severe overprotective parenting, we often end up with children who are not developing in healthy ways because mom and dad are too involved. They're controlling the lives of their children too much. So this is just a trend that I've seen. So I call this fear-based parenting. It's fear. Because I care for her, I'm afraid. I'm afraid that she's going to get hurt. I'm afraid that she's going to do bad things. I'm afraid that she won't be perfect and it may reflect on my reputation. I'm afraid, I'm afraid, I'm afraid. And this is not a good way to live out of fear. It's not good, it's not healthy. I do not believe that we are to live in fear, but we are to find a way to live in faith and trust. So, do I trust God? Can I have faith in God that as my child moves into life, that He is still present? He is going to be taking care of my child. I cannot possibly control everything that happens to my child. And I'm kind of kidding myself if I think I can. And so it's an invitation to move more into a place of trust and faith. And here's the other thing that I want you to add, and that you can see the difference. Okay, so let's move your chair, face me. There we go. Okay. So now, Bogna comes home from school, and so I'm going to have a chat with her. Hi, Bogna.
Hi.
How are you doing today?
Great.
How was school?
Good.
It was okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, you've kind of told me about those kids that kind of keep teasing you, and I'm just wondering if you ran into them today.
No.
No.
Nothing happened.
Nothing happened? Okay.
It's okay.
Good. Yeah. So what was your favorite part of the day?
Lunch break.
Really? You like lunch?
Yes.
Yeah?
Very good.
Really?
Yes.
What'd you do?
We had excellent food. It was really good.
Wonderful. So, yeah, that's great that you had excellent food. I'm glad you did. So did you eat with anybody special?
Not really.
Not really.
Not really.
Did
Just
you?
everybody.
Just everybody?
Yeah. Just everybody.
Oh, good. So it was a big group of people.
Not everybody in the school.
Not
No.
everybody in the school?
Just my class.
Yeah. So anything else that was fun today at school?
I've got A in the maths for the class work.
Yeah?
Yes.
All right. Very good.
Yes.
Oh, I'm proud of you.
Great.
You're so smart.
Thank you.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm so glad that you're my daughter.
Thank you.
You are very
I'm
special.
also very glad.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, hold on. So what's happening? Does anybody? She came home and I was doing the dishes, or I was cleaning, and I stopped what I was doing to just take a few minutes to look at her, to hear about her day, to hear about her world. And I'm following her. I'm trying to see what kind of emotion is she feeling, because I want to connect with that emotion. And I'm also looking for any chance I can to just affirm her, to encourage her, to bless her, to let her know I'm so proud of her. I am so glad she's my daughter. Because it's in these moments where she's seeing my smiles, she's seeing my face, that it is literally building something up in her, where she's like, yeah, Mom, I am smart. I am smart. And she's more full. She's getting some of these pieces in place. And she also knows that I'm here for her. Now, she may not want to talk to me much longer. She's like, Mom, I'm going to go call my friend. And I go, okay. I don't hold her. I don't force her to talk to me longer. But when she's there, I'm going to pour into her, because I want her to become strong on the inside. I want her to begin to know what she wants and what she doesn't want. So that, and I also want her to know that if something bad happened at school, that she has a place, that she can come talk to me about it. But I'm probably not going to tell her what to do. I am going to encourage her and say, you are so smart, Bogna, I think you're going to figure out what would be the best thing to do. I am going to bolster her and support her so that she can grow and develop strong. Because when a child or a person knows who they are and feels the foundation of their being is based in love, is based in connectedness, then she now has the power to say no to things that are not right, to say no to things that she knows could hurt her. She has the power. Because there's no way that I can follow her around for the rest of her life saying, now, Bogna, no, 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 that's not right. I want her to be an adult. And I want to be able to bless her into her life, trusting that God is also with her and taking care of her. It's not all up to me. So, thank you, daughter. Yes. But I call this type of parenting a love-based or heart-based parenting. And it's about attunement. It's about being present, fully present to your child. And sometimes it doesn't take a long time. It's just taking those moments during the day to just notice and focus. Being fully present, attuned to the child's emotions, using empathy. If she had had difficulty at school, I would have wanted to use empathy and say, oh, I'm so sorry, that must have been so hard. Where I'm validating her emotions. I'm validating her as a person. This is the therapy that I do. Now you know how I do therapy with women. Seriously, this is my model. Is that I am now going to sit with a woman and I am going to attune to her and I am going to be authentically present with her and I am going to use empathy with her and we are going to build a relationship so that she can begin to sense trust. And for some women I've worked with, they have never felt trust in their life. They've never been in safe places. So maybe for the first time in her life, she is going to gain a sense of what trust is. To trust that I will be there for her consistently, that I will be constant. In other words, I am not changing. I am the same person who shows up week after week after week, who cares for her, who genuinely cares for her. And I am safe. I am not going to violate her. I am not going to pressure her. I am not going to judge her. I am going to accept her just the way she is. Just the way she is. Just like I would if I was her mother. You know, I have a daughter, beautiful daughter, and she is not perfect. And she has problems and she has issues, but it has never changed my love for her. I love her just the way she is. And over the years, I find that I just love her more and more. I am so proud of her right now. She is blossoming into this beautiful adult woman, and she is pregnant with her first child. And I have been so blessed to watch how she has, as a strong woman, is so loving being pregnant and so excited about the thought of having a child to care for. And so I have all of this love and pride bubbling up in me. But she is not perfect. She has her flaws and failures, but it doesn't change my love. It does not change my acceptance of her, just as she is. Right now, I really wouldn't try to change anything about her. I know she's not perfect, but I love her and accept her. That is what I want to offer my clients, is a place where I can get to know them and begin to appreciate how special they are. And because I want to be genuine. I want to be genuine when I look into their eyes and say, you are so amazing. You are so special. I mean it. That comes from my heart. And so this is the foundation. This is the basic work that I do with women. And there's a lot that we can build on that, but this is the foundation, is a very authentic, heart-based connection that will also allow a woman, hopefully, to begin to actually depend on me. I want her to depend on me because I know I'm safe and I have boundaries. I want her to depend on me so that some of her dependency needs can be met in our relationship, in our professional relationship. I want her to attach to me. I want to become an important figure in her life, an important attachment object in her life. Because again, I know I'm safe, I know I have good boundaries, I'm a healthy woman, I don't need her, but I am available. I'm available for her to attach and experience what it's like to be in, a relationship that is faithful and constant and caring and attuned to her needs, where it's about her needs. So again, that is the foundation. So we will continue to build on that.